There's something deeply unsettling about killers who blur the line between human and monster.
Everybody thinks I'm a monster.
Cannibalism adds a grotesque layer to their crimes, turning horror into something almost unimaginable. These are the kinds of stories that make your skin crawl and your stomach churn.
I'm sorry I hurt people, but I would do it again.
The ones where predators didn't just end their victims' lives, but consumed them in the most literal and horrifying sense.
But because I wanted to keep them with me.
This isn't just murder. It's a descent into the darkest depths of human depravity. Let's dive into these chilling tales if you dare. This is part one of a series about the creepiest killers who ate their victims. Yakim Croll, known as the Ruhr Cannibal, terrorized West Germany for over 2 decades, claiming at least 14 lives. His twisted crimes involved murdering his victims, often young girls, before mutilating and consuming parts of their bodies. Croll evaded capture until 1976, when clogged plumbing led authorities to discover body parts in his apartment. His matter-of-fact confession, admitting to eating human flesh to save on groceries, shocked investigators. Convicted on 8 counts of murder, he was sentenced to 9 life terms. Croll died in prison in 1991, leaving behind a legacy of horror that still haunts Germany. To those who knew him, Patrick Kerney appeared to be a quiet, unassuming man. Beneath that exterior, however, he was a meticulous and cold-blooded killer. His first murder occurred in 1962, but his most active period spanned the 1970s, particularly from 1974 onward. Kerney primarily targeted transient young men, picking up hitchhikers or approaching men in gay bars. His method was chillingly calculated. He would shoot his victims in the head with a .22 caliber pistol, often while driving, ensuring a quick kill. Afterward, Kerney sometimes engaged in necrophilia before dismembering the bodies and discarding them in industrial trash bags along California's highways. These acts earned him the grim monikers, the freeway killer and the trash bag killer. Kerney confessed to 28 murders and later admitted to 4 more, bringing his total to 32 victims. Some investigators suspect he may have killed as many as 43. On July 1, 1977, facing mounting pressure from authorities, Kerney and his partner David Hill voluntarily surrendered. During his confession, he described the killings as an outlet for rage, stemming from years of bullying during his youth. His cooperation with law enforcement spared him the death penalty, and in March 1978, he was sentenced to 21 consecutive life terms.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Jeffrey Dahmer's name is synonymous with horror. Between 1978 and 1991, Dahmer murdered 17 young men and boys in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Beyond the killings, his depravity included dismemberment, necrophilia, and cannibalism. Investigators found human remains in his apartment, including skulls and a refrigerator stocked with body parts. Dahmer claimed his actions stemmed from a desire to keep his victims with him. Convicted and sentenced to 15 life terms, Dahmer met his end in prison in 1994, beaten to death by a fellow inmate. His crimes remain one of the darkest chapters in U.S. history.
I never had any interest in any form of cannibalism.
Nathaniel Barjona was a convicted child molester and suspected serial killer whose crimes spanned decades in 2 states, Montana and Massachusetts. While he was never convicted of murder, he remains a primary suspect in the 1996 disappearance of 10-year-old Zachary Ramsey. Investigators discovered chilling evidence suggesting that Barjona may have engaged in cannibalistic acts, including coded journal entries that referenced gruesome recipes and hinted at human flesh as an ingredient. Barjona's actual convictions were for heinous acts of kidnapping, sexual assault, and assault with a weapon against other children. These crimes earned him a 130-year prison sentence, ensuring he would never harm another child. Despite the disturbing evidence tying him to Zachary Ramsey's case and other suspected murders, a lack of physical proof prevented further charges. Until his death in 2008, Barjona maintained his innocence. However, his journals and the horrific nature of his crimes leave a haunting legacy, cementing him as one of the most unsettling figures in modern criminal history. The Chicago Rippers were a satanic cult, active from 1981 to 1982, led by Robin Gecht and including Edward Spreitzer and brothers Andrew and Thomas Cockrellice.
Everybody thinks I'm a monster.
The group abducted women in a reddish-orange van, subjecting them to horrific acts of rape, torture, and mutilation before killing them. One of their signature atrocities involved the ritualistic removal of their victims' breasts, allegedly as part of twisted ceremonies. While there were accusations of cannibalistic rituals, this has never been definitively proven. The group's downfall was pieced together through a complex investigation involving multiple survivors, including Beverly Washington, who provided critical information after escaping with severe injuries. The arrest of Edward Spreitzer in Gecht's van provided further leads that ultimately tied the group to at least 18 murders. Sentencing for the Chicago Rippers varied. Robin Gecht, considered the ringleader, received 120 years in prison. Edward Spreitzer was initially sentenced to death, later commuted to life without parole. Andrew Cockrellice was executed in 1999, while Thomas Cockrellice served approximately half of his 70-year sentence before being paroled in 2019. Adding to the macabre history, Robin Gecht had once worked for infamous serial killer John Wayne Gacy.
At that point, I pretty much moved on to the head. With the same knife, it went through the throat, like that. I mean, it's like cutting butter.
Sean Vincent Gillis's killing spree in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, spanned a decade from 1994 to 2004, leaving at least 8 women dead. Known for his graphic confessions, Gillis admitted to mutilating his victims post-mortem, taking photographs and keeping personal items as trophies. DNA evidence ultimately linked him to the murders, leading to his arrest in 2004.
I'm sorry I hurt people. But I would do it again.
While Gillis confessed in detail, there is no clear evidence that he sought media attention or notoriety. His writings to the families of his victims hinted at introspection, though not necessarily remorse. He was charged with 3 murders and convicted of at least 2, receiving a life sentence. Gillis's chilling actions and disturbing admissions remain a source of pain for the families of his victims and a haunting reminder of his brutal crimes. Thanks for watching. Today we explored the chilling stories of history's creepiest killers who crossed unthinkable lines by consuming their victims. If you want more content like this, hit subscribe to stay updated with our deep dives into true crime and the dark side of history. Share your thoughts or questions in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Remember to stay informed and stay safe. See you in the next video.